Good morning, everybody. If this is your first time catching one of my live broadcasts, my name is RJ Connell of rjconnell.ca, and I would like to welcome you. So, I am a wife, I am a daughter, I am a friend, I am a child of God, and I work as an income strategist. So, what that means is that I help people take the skills that they have and use it to create extra income for themselves so that they can create financial freedom, live the life that they want, travel, live debt free, and just do all the things that they want to do and just live their dream life. So, that's what I do. And today, I want to talk to you guys about living a life and being in a position of a CEO and not an employee. So whether or not you've started your business, this information is still going to apply to you because we should still be the CEO of our lives and not just employees in our lives. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that and just kind of explain what that means and how you can start to make that shift towards that different perspective of thinking. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. But before we jump into the broadcast, I want to go ahead and ask you to share this broadcast with a friend. This broadcast is really for anybody who have kind of put their dreams on the back burner. So maybe just because of the circumstances of life, you've gotten busy or kind of bogged down with all of your responsibilities, and you haven't really gotten the chance to pursue your dreams as much as you would like to. So if that applies to you, if you can relate to that at all, kind of looking at your life and realizing that where you are now isn't where you want to be in 5 years, then go ahead and share this broadcast. Or if it's on the replay, then go ahead and tag a friend in the broadcast so that they can also hear this. So, all right, guys, let's jump in. So the first thing that I did in order to kind of explain this was talk about the difference between an employee and a CEO. So a CEO is someone who usually does the hiring, or they hire somebody to do the hiring. So they have people under them who take care of the hiring, but they have a say in who comes into the company. That's the main part of it. An employee is someone who is hired by the company. So of course, you can choose which companies you apply to as an employee. However, your position in that company is not determined by you. It's determined by your CEO, management. Also, a CEO is someone who writes the checks, and an employee is someone who cashes the checks. A CEO is someone who works towards a vision, while an employee is someone who works towards a paycheck, usually. CEO has control of the direction of the company, whereas an employee's direction in the company is usually determined by someone else. So you can see that often if you've gotten moved in your company before, if you've changed positions, even if something as simple as the hours that you were working happened to change and they said, they need you to work different hours. Something as simple as that kind of reflects the fact that we don't necessarily have that control over our direction and just kind of how our day-to-day plays out. We do have some say in it, but at the end of the day, ultimately, it's what works best for the company and not necessarily what works best for us when you're an employee. So those are just some differences between a CEO and an employee. And I highlight that because as simple as they are, a lot of us in our lives and in our businesses are working as employees and not CEOs. So even though we have the authority to function in the capacity of a CEO, and technically we should be functioning in that capacity, because of responsibilities, because of circumstances, because we're just trying to survive, so many of us, we are focused on just being an employee, which means that we're not actually taking time to figure out what the vision is. So that's the main difference between a CEO and an employee. The CEO is responsible for the vision. That means where is the company going? And how do we get there? Are we on track to get there? That's the CEO's responsibility. And according to that vision, they delegate tasks to their management and then management to the staff, and everything kind of trickles down from there. But if you don't have that vision as a CEO, then realistically, your company isn't going anywhere because you are the one who is leading it and making sure that everything that you're doing, all of the tasks are aligned with the end goal and where you want to be in a couple years. And so that's something that's so important. And when we look at our lives, that's one thing I want you guys to ask yourself. Where am I now and where do I want to be? So on Tuesday, or no, I don't even think it was this Tuesday. I think it was last Tuesday. I did a poll, and one of the questions that I asked is the job that you're at right now, is that where you want to be in 5 years? And everybody who answered and participated in that poll, everybody said no. So then I was thinking, okay, well, are you on track to get to where you want to be? One, do you know where you want to be? That's actually a bigger question. So if you don't want to be at your current job, or if you don't even whatever your goal might be, but in that case, we're talking about employment, we're talking about jobs. So if you don't want to be at your current job, what job do you want to be at? Do you know that? That's the first question. Once you know that, are you on track to getting there? Are you moving yourself in that direction? Because oftentimes what happens is that we get comfortable. So we get a job that pays our bills, we get a job that gives us benefits, that's the hours work for us, and it suits our current level right now. And I totally understand that. Trust me, I've been there before. And so because it takes care of our right now needs, we don't think about the future needs. All right, and we don't think about the higher level that we want to be at because we're focused on being comfortable at this level. And so when you're thinking of these things, and when you're making that shift in perspective towards a CEO, you have to realize that where you are is okay for now. Nothing wrong with that. However, the current goal, the current steps you're taking have to be moving you towards a higher level. You have to realize that it's okay to be where you are now, but you need to be on the journey. You need to be on your way towards something better. And so if you already know what that job is for you, if you already know what you want your life to look like, if you know you don't want to be at a 9 to 5 for the rest of your life, you want to be able to take control of your income. You want to be able to have the freedom of time. You want to work for yourself. That was another question I asked in this week's poll. And I said, how many people ever thought about starting a side hustle or starting a business? And I think of everybody who answered, I think there was one person who said that they were happy with their 9 to 5 and that they wanted to stay there. But everybody else said, I want to be my own boss. So if you already know that, what are the things that you have put in place in your life right now to make sure that you're getting on that track, right? I don't want you to become comfortable and not think about the vision of your life. Or if you run a business, this is also the same thing for your business. As an employee, as an entrepreneur, especially, because usually we start off when it's just us, right? It's usually just you working your business. You are everything of your business. You are the marketer. You are the content creator. You are human resources. You are your own tax professional. You are you're the person who writes the checks. You're the person who cashes the checks. You are the person who responds to inquiries. You're the person who books clients. You're your own assistant. You do everything in the beginning when you're first starting off as an entrepreneur. So I understand how we get so busy working in our businesses that we forget to work on them. And working on them requires you taking a step back to say, okay, what are all the different components of my business? Where am I trying to get to? And do those components match? Are they on track to accomplish the goal, right? And so it does require you to take a step back as an entrepreneur and just kind of look at where you are and where you want to be and make sure that they align. So whether or not you have a business, this does apply to you, but especially if you have a business, because you are the CEO. You are not just an employee. An employee is a title that you operate in, but a CEO is who you are, right? And so you have to start to make that mind shift towards looking at your business as a whole and making sure that one, you have a vision, and two, that you are on track, right? And so whether you have a business or if you're just right now, if this just applies to your personal life, here's a question I want you to ask yourself. Where do I want to be in 5 years? That's the first question. Think about what your goals are. What do you want to have accomplished? Do you want to have paid off all of your debt? Do you want to be able to purchase a house? Do you want to travel? Do you want to have started your own business and made that leap into entrepreneurship? What are your goals for the next 5 years? That's the first question I want you to ask yourself. The second question I want you to ask yourself is, am I on track? Right now, with the way my life is set up, with the actions that I'm taking, with the way I'm spending my time, will I get there in 5 years? That's what I want you to ask yourself. Take inventory of your life. Take a step back. Look at the things you're doing. When you have free time, how are you spending it? When you're at work, are you thinking about where you want to end up? Even if that's a promotion within your company, that's still something you need to work towards and not just wait for it to happen for you, right? So maybe you don't like, maybe your job necessarily isn't the problem. It's just your position within the company and you want to be able to move up. Even that's something you got to be working towards, right? So sometimes we have a tendency to think that things will just happen, but not, and we have the ability to make things happen and not necessarily just wait for them to happen to us. So two questions that you're going to be asking yourself is one, where do I want to be in 5 years? What are the goals that I want to have accomplished in 5 years? Second question you're asking yourself is, am I on track right now to accomplishing those goals in a 5 year time period? And so if you're having trouble answering any of those questions, or just kind of being as specific as you can. So if you're really even struggling to identify what your goals are and where you want to be in 5 years and what the things are that you want to have accomplished in that time period, then what I want to recommend for you is to do something that I call a life retreat, or if you're a business owner, a business retreat. So we are in the process, myself and my husband are in the process now of getting ready for our first business retreat, and I'm super, 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 super excited about it. It's something that I proposed to him a couple months ago, but we weren't able. Well, actually, it's not even that we weren't able to, because many of you guys know we are currently on our journey towards clearing off all of our debt. So whenever we are planning something like a trip, we try not to make it a last minute thing. We try to plan it well in advance so that we can budget for it and it doesn't become stressful financially, pretty much. So something I talked to him about a couple months ago, and so we are now doing it next week. And I'm so excited about it because I've been planning for it during all of this time period and just really taking the time to figure out where I want my business to be and where he wants his business to be. And so for him, because he's been doing this for so long, it really is something that you can lose track of, right? And that was something that we had talked about, and is saying like, because especially when you're working and you are an entrepreneur and you're bringing in money, it's easy to get comfortable. Like, comfort is comfortable. That's what it is, right? And it can keep you where you are instead of pushing you towards where you want to be. And so that was one thing that we were kind of talking about, and is saying that the vision needs to be clear. The reason why you are doing all of these things needs to be clear, needs to be working towards something. So we are in the process of getting ready for our first business retreat. And also we're going to be talking about life things during that business retreat as well, because other things affect business. Business is not on its own, it's part of our lives. But I'm so excited about that. So I want to recommend that to you as well. If you have a business, set up a business retreat, and it's something you need to do regularly, every quarter, which means every 3 months. And that it doesn't need to be fancy or expensive. On Monday's broadcast, I'm going to talk about a business retreat or a life retreat, and just kind of go into a little bit more detail about how you can organize that for yourself. But the point is, you need to set aside time. If you are struggling to even identify your goals, this is something you need to do. You cannot afford not to do it. So a business retreat or a life retreat, kind of just depending on where you are right now in your own life and what your goals are. Or if you don't know what your goals are, you just need to do this. So realistically, guys, that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I just wanted to plant that seed in your mind so that you can start moving towards thinking like a CEO and not just being an employee of your life and of your business. So what I want you to do is go ahead. I want to ask you if you can share this broadcast with a friend. So send it to a friend, someone who you think that this would be helpful for. And also, if you're watching this on the replay, I think you can only send it. But anyways, go ahead and send it. Jump in the comments below. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know does this apply to you, all right? Or send me a direct message and let me know, was this helpful for you? Do you realize, can you see maybe how you're operating as a CEO, as an employee and not a CEO? Or maybe you are operating as a CEO, which is amazing and fantastic, but maybe you're able to identify some of your friends or family members who are operating as an employee. And this video could help them start to just make that shift and give them a different perspective on their lives and on their ability to influence where they want to be. So I want to ask you to go ahead and share this broadcast with a friend. Send me a message or leave me a comment. Let me know how you're feeling, whether or not this was helpful for you. And I want to ask you to join me again Monday when I'm going to do a live broadcast talking more about the business retreat and a life retreat as my husband and I prepare to go on ours. So thank you so much for joining me here again today, guys. I want to ask you just to head over to rjconnell.ca and just enter in your email address and let's stay connected. I'm going to be sharing more in-depth tips about our business retreat through my email address. And so I want to kind of leave that exclusive for the people who are connected to me in that way. So head over to rjconnell.ca. You're going to get a little pop-up. Just put in your email address there and let's just stay connected so that I can continue to pour into you and help you accomplish your dreams in a practical way. Thank you so much for joining me here today, guys, and I will see you on Monday. Have an amazing week.